The galaxy was filled with countless civilizations, each more advanced than the last. Some had mastered the art of controlling stars, bending light and energy to their will. Others had discovered the secrets of life itself, creating beings and machines that could last for thousands of years. Among them all, there were the elders, the wisest beings in existence. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, watched countless species make the same mistakes again and again. They were patient, careful, and cautious, and when they spoke, the galaxy usually listened. But now, the elders were worried. They had studied humanity for centuries, quietly observing from the edge of the galaxy. Humans were still young, small, and seemingly fragile. Their technology was primitive compared to the towering fleets of other civilizations. Their planet was a chaotic mess of wars, politics, and endless arguments over resources and borders. From a distance, it seemed obvious that humanity would struggle to survive, let alone thrive. The elders convened in a vast chamber that floated among the stars, a place beyond time where light itself seemed to bend around them. They spoke with voices that echoed across galaxies, a chorus of wisdom and experience. "The humans are not like other species," one elder said, their voice low and trembling with concern. "They are unpredictable, chaotic, and reckless, but they are also clever, resilient, and stubborn beyond measure. If they continue on their path, they will awaken a power that cannot be stopped." Other elders nodded solemnly. They had seen this pattern before, species that seemed weak and insignificant, suddenly finding ways to rise above impossible odds. But this was different. Humanity's growth was not just about survival. It was about something deeper, something no one could fully understand. And that made it dangerous. The elders knew they had to warn the rest of the galaxy. A council was called, one that included leaders from countless species, each with their own ambitions and egos. The chamber was enormous, filled with beings that looked like molten crystals, living storms, floating eyes, and creatures that defied all logic. They had gathered to hear the elders speak. When the elders began to caution the galaxy about humans, the room was silent for a moment, as if everyone was listening carefully. Then laughter filled the space. Many leaders scoffed openly. "Humans? You are serious?" One of the crystalline beings said, its voice ringing like chimes. "They barely have the technology to reach the nearest planets. How could they ever pose a threat to us?" A living storm curled in on itself, swirling with sparks. "This is ridiculous," it hissed. "They are soft, emotional, and violent to each other. They are children compared to us." The elders' voices remained calm but firm. "Do not underestimate them," one said. "They will surprise you, as they always have. Their resilience, their ingenuity, their will to survive, it is unlike any other. The moment they awaken fully, they will be unstoppable." Despite the warning, most of the council ignored it. To them, it was just another elder's paranoia, another story meant to instill fear. Plans continued as usual. Alliances were formed, trade routes expanded, and wars were fought. Humanity was considered a curiosity, nothing more. On Earth, humans carried on with their daily lives, completely unaware of the galactic discussion taking place far above them. In the cities, people hurried through streets, chasing jobs, dreams, and fleeting happiness. In distant deserts, small groups of humans struggled to survive, finding food, water, and shelter in harsh conditions. Even in their chaos, there was a spark. Humans built machines, sent rockets to the sky, and explored their planet and its stars with tireless curiosity. Their flaws were obvious, but so were their strengths. A young scientist worked late into the night in a small laboratory, her hands trembling as she adjusted delicate instruments. She was trying to understand a new source of energy, one that could change the way humans powered their cities. Across the world, A group of explorers risked their lives climbing mountains and diving into oceans, searching for knowledge no one else thought worth pursuing. On battlefields, humans fought with desperation and courage, sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding, but always moving forward. The elders watched all of this with growing certainty. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but that was their strength. They did not rely solely on technology or brute force. They relied on ideas, creativity, and the will to act even when the odds were stacked against them. They learned from failure, adapted quickly, and often found solutions that no one else could imagine. Back in the Galactic Council, some beings began to murmur. A few, quietly attentive, had noticed strange patterns in humanity's behavior. Reports of human ingenuity in small matters, solving impossible problems, surviving disasters, and achieving what seemed improbable had reached their ears. Yet they remained cautious, unwilling to voice their doubts against the majority opinion. Meanwhile, humans began making small steps that hinted at their future potential. A young pilot successfully navigated a prototype spacecraft through dangerous asteroid fields, something that experts had declared impossible. Scientists published discoveries that challenged long-standing theories and opened new doors for technology. Leaders made difficult choices to unite divided populations in times of crisis. Each action, seemingly insignificant on a galactic scale, was a thread weaving into a larger tapestry of potential the elders had seen. Even as humans struggled with their own conflicts, their achievements grew. Their curiosity, courage, and determination allowed them to surpass expectations again and again. Natural disasters, political upheaval, and internal strife tested them. Yet humanity endured, evolved, and learned. And the elders watched, silently smiling. They had predicted this, and every human triumph, no matter how small, confirmed it. Not everyone in the galaxy remained ignorant. A few alien species, intrigued by the elders' warnings, began to observe humans more closely. They sent scouts, quietly gathering information about Earth and its people. They witnessed human creativity and resourcefulness firsthand, and slowly their skepticism began to falter. The humans they saw were messy, chaotic, and unpredictable, but they were alive in ways that machines and immortal beings could not understand. There was a spark in them, a light of potential that even the most advanced civilizations could not contain. Back on Earth, humans went about their lives, unaware that their actions were shaping the perceptions of the galaxy. Families laughed, friends argued, leaders negotiated, and inventors experimented. Every small act of courage, every creative solution, every moment of perseverance was a piece of the proof the elders had been waiting for. Humanity was growing stronger, and the galaxy would soon have no choice but to notice. In the council chamber, the laughter and dismissal continued, but the seeds of doubt had been planted. Some began to wonder if perhaps the elders were right. Could humans really be something more than fragile, emotional beings? Could they truly become unstoppable? Most wanted to ignore it, unwilling to believe that a young species from a small blue planet could ever change the balance of the galaxy. The elders, however, knew the truth. They had seen civilizations much older than humans crumble under their own arrogance. They had witnessed the rise of beings who, like humans, seemed weak but possessed something no one else could anticipate. And humanity, they realized, was one of those rare civilizations. As the council adjourned, most of the species returned to their own worlds, confident that humans were harmless. But the elders stayed behind, looking at Earth through distant telescopes, their eyes reflecting the blue oceans, green forests, and sprawling cities. They knew it was only a matter of time before the galaxy would understand what they already knew. Humanity could not be stopped, and the day when the galaxy would have to face this truth was approaching faster than anyone imagined. For now, humans continued to live their lives, unaware of the danger and wonder they represented. They argued, laughed, cried, and dreamed, each moment contributing to a future that would surprise the galaxy. They were flawed, messy, and imperfect, but also brilliant, courageous, and unyielding. And in that combination lay a power that no one, not even the most advanced alien civilizations, could ever control. The elders watched silently, their warning echoing across the stars. Humanity was awakening, and when they fully emerged, the galaxy would have no choice but to face a force unlike any it had ever seen. Humanity had never imagined that its first contact with an alien species would be anything like this. For centuries, humans had looked to the stars, dreaming of reaching other planets, wondering if life existed beyond their own fragile world. And now, the first proof had arrived, not in the form of peaceful explorers, but a fleet of alien ships hovering silently over the oceans, casting massive shadows over cities below. At first, panic spread. Governments scrambled to respond, trying to communicate, but the language barrier seemed impossible. The aliens, massive and imposing, communicated with symbols and sounds that no human machine could fully interpret. Some humans froze in fear, while others tried to fight, firing missiles and sending fighter jets to intercept the foreign craft. But their weapons, advanced as they were by human standards, barely made a dent in the shimmering shields of the alien ships. And yet, humanity refused to surrender. People adapted quickly. Scientists and engineers, working in underground labs, quickly began analyzing the alien signals, searching for patterns, trying to find a weakness. Soldiers trained in new tactics, not just relying on brute force, but on clever strategies and improvisation. Even ordinary citizens contributed, helping where they could, sharing knowledge, and keeping morale alive. Not one human fleet pilot, barely out of training, managed to guide a small craft through an asteroid field and circle around one of the alien ships. By observing carefully, she noticed a subtle pattern in the alien movement, something that suggested a flaw in their formation. With nothing but intuition, patience, and courage, she relayed the information to the command center. That small observation became the key to humanity's first defensive strategy. Meanwhile, the alien observers were baffled. They had never seen a species adapt so quickly, so unpredictably. In their calculations, humans were supposed to panic, retreat, or be easily subdued. Instead, they were learning, innovating, and striking back in ways that no alien intelligence had expected. Each failed attack against humanity only made humans more determined, more creative, and more relentless. The news spread across the world. Reports of small human victories, successful rescues, clever countermeasures, and daring maneuvers began to give hope to the people. Ordinary citizens, inspired by these feats, found courage in themselves. A fisherman on a small island helped redirect an alien probe that threatened his village. A team of students hacked into a communications array, sending confusing signals that disrupted alien coordination. These actions, though small individually, formed a mosaic of resilience that astonished both humans and alien observers alike. Back in the Galactic Council, murmurs of concern began to spread. The species that had dismissed the elders' warning were beginning to see cracks in their assumptions. Reports came in from scouts and probes, describing a species that refused to be crushed, that adapted to threats in ways no one had imagined. The laughter and ridicule that had filled the council halls now shifted to whispers of unease. Some began to wonder if perhaps the elders had been right all along. The elders themselves watched with a quiet satisfaction. They had predicted this, of course, but witnessing it unfold was still remarkable. Humans, despite their apparent weaknesses, were proving to be not just resilient, but astonishingly resourceful. Their small victories were not only physical, but mental proof that their ingenuity could challenge even the most advanced civilizations. On Earth, humanity's struggle was deeply personal. Families were torn apart, cities were damaged, and many lives were lost. Yet, in every disaster, humans found ways to protect each other. Volunteers rushed into danger zones to save strangers. Doctors and nurses worked around the clock, often improvising with whatever tools they had. Communities came together to share resources and support each other. These acts, small and human in nature, contributed to the larger pattern the elders had noticed. Humanity's strength came not from their weapons or technology alone, but from their compassion, their courage, and their determination to survive. As the weeks passed, humans began to shift from defense to offense. They learned to exploit weaknesses in alien tactics that were subtle, unpredictable, and ingenious. One team of engineers developed a device that could temporarily disrupt alien communication networks. Another group of strategists, using simulations and intuition, devised maneuvers that allowed human ships to outflank much larger alien vessels. Each success, no matter how small, fueled the next one, creating a momentum that the aliens struggled to counter. In one particularly daring encounter, a small human squad managed to disable a critical part of an alien flagship without losing a single life. The alien commanders were stunned. How could this species, so primitive in appearance, accomplish such a feat? Their calculations had always assumed that humans would respond to overwhelming force with fear and retreat. Instead, humans used intelligence, creativity, and a willingness to take risks that no machine or mind could fully anticipate. This victory marked a turning point. Humanity's story began to spread across the galaxy, carried by alien observers and intercepted transmissions. Some species that had once mocked humans began to take notice, quietly reconsidering their assumptions. Rumors spread. This small, fragile species might not only survive, but challenge the established order. The idea was so alien, so unexpected, that it was almost dismissed as a myth, but it persisted. Meanwhile, humans themselves were changing. The crisis forced them to grow, to learn faster than ever before. Young scientists became leaders. Ordinary citizens became heroes. Entire communities, previously divided by politics, religion, or geography, found common purpose in survival and innovation. The struggle was brutal, but it was also transformative. Humanity was awakening, evolving in ways that no one, not even the elders, could fully predict. Back in the council chambers, concern became alarm. Some leaders began to fear that humanity might indeed become unstoppable if this trajectory continued. Yet even as they debated, the humans themselves remained unaware of the larger galactic implications. To them, the fight was personal, immediate, and necessary. They fought for their families, their homes, and their planet, not for glory, power, or conquest. And it was this very humanity, their courage, ingenuity, and empathy that made them so dangerous. The elders, watching from their distant perch, felt a quiet certainty. Humans were learning at a speed no one had anticipated. Every small victory, every act of ingenuity, every moment of courage was part of a larger pattern they had seen before in other species that had risen unexpectedly. The difference now was that humans combined unpredictability with persistence and moral determination. Unlike other species that had succumbed to arrogance or overconfidence, humans seemed guided by something deeper, a desire to survive, to protect, and to grow. On Earth, life continued in its messy, unpredictable way. Families rebuilt after attacks, scientists experimented late into the night, and soldiers trained for the next encounter. Even children contributed in small ways, inventing tools or alerting adults to hidden dangers. Every act, no matter how small, added to the collective strength of humanity. The aliens who observed from above were baffled. They had expected easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves challenged at every turn, outmaneuvered by creativity and determination they had not considered. One evening, as the sun set over a recovering city, a group of humans gathered in the streets to watch the stars. They did not know it, but above them, alien ships hovered silently. Humans speculated about what might exist beyond their world, imagining friends or foes, explorers or conquerors. They dreamed of discovery, innovation, and progress. And in those dreams, unknowingly, they demonstrated the very traits that would make them unstoppable: curiosity, courage, and an unyielding will to act, even against impossible odds. The elders observed this with satisfaction. The galaxy had doubted humanity, dismissed them as weak, and assumed they could be controlled or ignored. But here, in small acts of bravery, ingenuity, and resilience, the elders saw the truth. Humans could not be contained. They were awakening, learning, and adapting in ways that would soon change the galaxy forever. The warnings that had been ignored now carried weight. For the first time, some species began to whisper to one another, asking whether they had misjudged humans. They remembered the elders' caution, and doubt crept into their minds. Could it be true? Could this seemingly fragile, emotional, and unpredictable species actually pose a threat to the established order of the galaxy? Even as these questions arose, humans continued their work. They repaired what was broken, learned from every mistake, and moved forward with courage and determination. They were still imperfect, still flawed, and still very human, but that imperfection was part of their strength. It gave them flexibility, creativity, and a moral compass that no cold, calculating civilization could fully anticipate. The aliens, observing quietly, began to realize that the greatest danger humanity posed was not technology, numbers, or brute strength. It was their unpredictability, their ability to adapt, and their refusal to give up. They acted in ways no one could predict, turning apparent weakness into advantage, fear into courage, and limitation into opportunity. And the galaxy, still unprepared, was only beginning to see the potential that the elders had warned about all along. In that moment, humanity had begun to draw attention across the galaxy, but they were still unaware of the magnitude of their impact. On Earth, life continued as always, full of challenges, triumphs, and ordinary struggles, but every small victory humans achieved was slowly reshaping how the galaxy viewed them. Aliens who had once dismissed humanity as weak and primitive were beginning to reconsider. Some whispered among themselves, while others quietly observed from afar, trying to understand what made humans so different. The first whispers of concern were subtle. One alien species, a council of crystalline beings that had once laughed at the idea of human danger, began sending scouts and monitoring signals more carefully. They noticed patterns in human behavior that defied prediction. Humans would make mistakes, yes, but they would adapt, learn, and often turn failure into advantage. Where other species relied heavily on logic, algorithms, or strict hierarchies, humans relied on intuition, creativity, and something far harder to measure: moral judgment. This combination was dangerous. The humans' unpredictability made them impossible to contain or control. Even small groups of humans could achieve remarkable things when motivated, and larger groups seemed to operate as if guided by some unseen force, a force born of determination, courage, and cooperation. The elders had warned the galaxy about this long ago, but few had listened. Now, the consequences of ignoring that warning were becoming visible. On Earth, humans were facing growing challenges of their own. The alien presence was not a constant attack, but it was enough to disrupt society, forcing humans to rethink how they lived, worked, and fought. Cities were fortified, communication systems were upgraded, and defense strategies became more sophisticated. The military learned to combine human ingenuity with their existing technology, creating solutions that were clever, unexpected, and often highly effective. Ordinary citizens contributed, finding ways to make everyday objects useful in ways the aliens could not anticipate. in one coastal city. A team of engineers discovered that alien drones were vulnerable to certain frequencies of sound. By improvising with local devices and creating makeshift amplifiers, they managed to disable several drones that had been patrolling the skies. In another town, a group of civilians coordinated a system to warn and protect communities from sudden alien incursions. Their actions were small individually, but formed a network of resistance that impressed even the most skeptical human leaders. The aliens, watching from above, could not fully comprehend these developments. Their strategies had been based on centuries of experience with other species, yet humans consistently disrupted expectations. They moved in unpredictable ways, reacted emotionally yet strategically, and often used ingenuity to overcome limitations that no one thought they could surpass. The Galactic Council, once dismissive, began to sense that something was changing. Some leaders worried openly now, realizing that their assumptions about humanity might be catastrophically wrong. Secret meetings were held to discuss the human threat, and intelligence reports became increasingly urgent. Yet no one had a clear plan for how to deal with a species that refused to behave as expected. Meanwhile, humans themselves remained largely unaware of the galactic concern. To them, the challenge was immediate and personal. They were focused on survival, exploration, and learning. Scientists were experimenting with alien technology, trying to understand it and make it useful. Pilots and soldiers trained to counter alien strategies, often creating innovative solutions in the heat of the moment. Communities banded together, forming networks of cooperation that allowed them to respond quickly to threats. One particularly striking human effort involved a small team of engineers who managed to repair and repurpose a damaged alien ship. Using ingenuity, teamwork, and a deep understanding of human and alien technology, they turned it into a vessel that could gather intelligence and even defend against minor attacks. The aliens monitoring the humans were astonished. They had never seen such rapid adaptation, such clever use of limited resources. The humans were learning faster than expected and thinking in ways that no algorithm or simulation could predict. On the streets of Earth, life continued with a mix of fear and determination. Families were rebuilding homes. Farmers adapted their methods to protect crops from alien interference. And scientists worked tirelessly in laboratories to understand the new technologies they were encountering. Every act of courage, every solution to a problem, contributed to the growing realization that humans were more capable than anyone had imagined. Even children and ordinary citizens played a role. In small towns, teenagers found ways to communicate and warn each other about alien patrols. Farmers improvised ways to shield livestock. Volunteers risked their lives to deliver food and medicine to areas under threat. Each action, while seemingly minor, added to humanity's overall ability to resist, adapt, and grow stronger. The aliens began to change their tactics in response. They tried new strategies, deploying larger fleets, using psychological warfare, and experimenting with technology to overwhelm humans. Yet every attempt met with unexpected resistance. Humans observed, analyzed, and countered in real time, often finding creative solutions that even the aliens had not predicted. For example, in one encounter over a major city, humans noticed that alien sensors were more effective under certain lighting conditions. By changing the city's lighting and creating reflections, they were able to confuse the sensors and launch a successful countermeasure that drove the alien ships away. This kind of improvisation became a pattern. Humans consistently found solutions that were unconventional, adaptive and effective, turning apparent weaknesses into strengths. The elders observed all of this quietly. Noting patterns and understanding that humanity's rise was accelerating. Their warnings, once dismissed, now seemed prophetic. Humans were not just surviving, they were learning, evolving, and shaping the galaxy's perception of them with every action. What the elders had predicted was coming true. Humans could not be stopped once fully awakened. Yet, despite their growing capabilities, humans remained fundamentally human. They laughed, argued, and loved. They made mistakes, grieved for losses, and celebrated victories. Their imperfections were part of what made them so effective. Unlike other civilizations that relied solely on precision, calculation, or brute strength, humans combined ingenuity with emotion. Their moral choices, empathy, and courage gave them a kind of power that no alien species could fully understand or control. Some aliens began to notice this, quietly reporting that humans were different from any species they had encountered. Unlike other civilizations that relied on domination or fear, humans relied on cooperation, ingenuity, and adaptability. Their unpredictability was terrifying and inspiring. Even alien leaders who were skeptical began to admit, in private, that humanity's potential might be far greater than anyone had imagined. On Earth, the humans themselves were still learning. Every challenge they faced made them stronger, faster, and more resourceful. Scientists discovered ways to harness alien technology. Pilots developed tactics that combined human intuition with newly understood alien systems. Leaders made difficult decisions that balanced survival with ethics, understanding that every choice could have lasting consequences. Ordinary people adapted to change, finding courage they did not know they possessed. One small town became a model of human adaptability. Its residents used improvised shelters, repurposed alien materials, and clever signaling systems to survive repeated attacks. Children helped map alien movements, while elders provided historical insight and wisdom. Every individual contributed in some way, and the town not only survived, but thrived. Stories of such communities began to spread across Earth, inspiring others to act with courage and ingenuity across the galaxy. Reports of human resilience and adaptability spread among alien species. Some were impressed, others fearful, and a few still skeptical. But even those who doubted could not ignore the evidence. Humanity was different, unpredictable, and remarkably capable. Their victories were not just about technology. They were about creativity, courage, and the will to act when circumstances seemed impossible. In the Council of the Elders, the same patterns repeated. They had foreseen that humans would rise in ways the galaxy could not predict, and now that rise was becoming impossible to ignore. Their warning that humans could not be stopped was no longer theoretical. Every observation, every report, confirmed the truth. Humanity was awakening, learning, and evolving into a force unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. For the humans themselves, life continued in its messy, unpredictable way. They did not see themselves as heroes or warriors. They were simply trying to survive, to protect each other, and to learn. And yet, in every decision, every act of courage, they were shaping their destiny and proving the elders right. Their rise was unstoppable, fueled by resilience, ingenuity, and the unbreakable will to survive. By the end of this period, humans had not only survived their first real test, but had also begun to show the galaxy that they could adapt, overcome, and thrive against incredible odds. Their story was becoming known, whispered among alien species as a warning and a source of wonder. And the elders, watching quietly, knew that the next phase of humanity's rise would challenge the Humanity had grown stronger with every challenge, but the galaxy was not going to wait patiently while they learned and adapted. Reports of human ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability had spread among alien civilizations, reaching even the most distant worlds. Some species that had once dismissed humans as weak were now beginning to prepare for confrontation, convinced that if humans were left unchecked, they might upset the balance of power across the galaxy. The first real threat came suddenly. A coalition of alien civilizations, a group formed from species with long histories of dominance, decided to act. They believed that humanity had to be subdued before it could rise further. Massive fleets gathered in deep space, silently converging toward Earth. Their ships were enormous, equipped with weapons that could devastate entire continents. They believed that their numbers and technology would crush humanity in a single strike. On Earth, humans sensed something was coming, though they did not yet know the full scope of the threat. Satellites detected unusual patterns in deep space, and astronomers noticed fleets moving in ways that indicated coordination and planning. Panic began to spread, but alongside it came determination. Humanity had survived previous challenges, learned from them, and grown stronger. Now, they would face the most dangerous test yet. Governments and scientists worked tirelessly to prepare. Engineers devised new defensive systems, using both human technology and recovered alien devices. Soldiers trained in unconventional tactics, ready to counter threats in ways the aliens might not expect. Communities organized themselves to protect civilians, ensuring that even ordinary people could contribute to the defense. Every action, every effort, was focused on survival and adaptation. As the alien fleets approached, humans began to implement strategies that were unconventional but effective. Small teams of pilots, scientists, and engineers worked together, combining knowledge and intuition. They studied the alien ships, searching for patterns, vulnerabilities, and opportunities. Unlike previous attacks, this confrontation required humans not only to defend themselves, but also to think ahead, anticipate alien strategies, and act before the enemy could strike in the skies above a major city. A squadron of human pilots faced a wave of alien ships. At first, the battle seemed hopeless. The aliens' technology was far superior, their weapons capable of destroying entire blocks in seconds. But the humans did not panic. Using knowledge gained from previous encounters, they devised clever maneuvers that allowed them to dodge attacks, confuse sensors, and strike at key weak points. Each move was risky, but every success encouraged them to continue. On the ground, engineers activated devices that interfered with alien communications. Signals were scrambled, causing confusion among the attackers. Civilians, guided by emergency protocols, helped maintain supply lines, repaired damaged infrastructure, and assisted first responders. Even children contributed, warning adults of potential dangers or assisting with simple tasks that made a real difference. One of the most remarkable human efforts involved a small team that managed to hijack a disabled alien ship and use it to feed false information to the attackers. The alien commanders were baffled as their coordinated attacks began to fail inexplicably. They could not predict how humans, so seemingly primitive, could manipulate advanced technology in ways no simulation had accounted for. Every small success on Earth amplified humanity's ability to resist, creating momentum that even the aliens could not stop. The battle raged for days. Cities were damaged, and many lives were lost, but humanity's resilience shone through. Communities adapted quickly, moving resources, repairing damages, and finding creative solutions. In the skies, pilots executed daring maneuvers, often risking their lives to protect civilians or disable enemy ships. On the ground, engineers worked tirelessly to create improvised weapons, shields, and communication systems. The combined effort of scientists, soldiers, and ordinary people allowed humans to survive and even turn the tide. Despite the alien coalition's superior technology, humans proved unpredictable. They did not fight like other species. Instead of relying solely on brute force or numbers, they used creativity, intuition, and cooperation. When one strategy failed, they quickly adapted and tried another. Their ability to learn from mistakes and respond to unforeseen circumstances made them formidable opponents. Even against overwhelming odds, the elders, observing from afar, felt a quiet satisfaction. They had predicted this. Humanity would face a direct threat, And they would respond not just with courage, but with ingenuity and determination that no species could match. The patterns they had foreseen were unfolding before their eyes. Humans were rising, not as conquerors, but as survivors, thinkers, and innovators. Their strength came from their unpredictability and their unwillingness to give up, even when the odds seemed impossible. Across the galaxy, reports of human resistance reached alien civilizations. Some species that had doubted the Elders' warning began to take notice. They saw humans not only surviving, but achieving victories against seemingly insurmountable odds. Whispers spread. This young species from a small planet might not only endure, but thrive in ways that could challenge the established order. Fear mixed with respect, though few dared to admit it openly. On Earth, the human effort was deeply personal. Every act of bravery mattered. Families saved each other, neighbors supported one another, and communities worked together to protect the vulnerable. Doctors and nurses risked their lives, treating the wounded with limited resources. Volunteers delivered food, medicine, and supplies under dangerous conditions. Every contribution, no matter how small, was part of a larger strategy, and collectively, it became humanity's strength. In one particularly daring maneuver, a group of pilots managed to disable a key alien weapon system by exploiting its blind spots. The move required precise timing, coordination, and courage, and the success became a turning point in the battle. The alien commanders were forced to retreat temporarily, regrouping to reconsider their approach. For humanity, the victory was both tactical and symbolic. It proved that even against overwhelming power, they could find a way to succeed. The aliens could not fully comprehend what they were facing. Humans were not just surviving. They were adapting, innovating, and acting unpredictably. Every defeat taught them a lesson, and every success built confidence. Unlike other species the aliens had conquered before, humans combined intellect, creativity, and moral reasoning in ways that made them extremely difficult to predict. Each human action was part of a larger, interconnected pattern that the aliens struggled to understand. Back in communities across Earth, stories of courage and ingenuity spread. Ordinary people became heroes. Engineers who had never seen battle found ways to contribute. Teachers organized groups to help maintain morale and educate children in survival skills. Farmers used their knowledge of the land to protect resources and provide for those in need. Every effort, every moment of human resilience contributed to a larger mosaic of survival and victory. The Elders watched with quiet satisfaction. Humanity's first major confrontation with a galactic threat had proven their warnings were accurate. Humans were not just resilient, they were creative, courageous, and unpredictable. They had learned to combine their strengths in ways that no other species had ever managed. Their victories were not just about defeating the enemy. They were about learning, adapting, and proving that humanity could not be stopped. Even as humans celebrated their successes, they remained aware of the dangers. The alien coalition had retreated for now, but the galaxy was full of civilizations that might see humans as a threat. The victories of this battle were hard won, and the cost had been high. Yet the lesson was clear. Humanity's combination of creativity, determination, and unpredictability made them more than capable of surviving even the most overwhelming challenges. In the aftermath, humanity began to recover and rebuild. Cities were repaired, technology improved, and strategies refined. Scientists analyzed alien technology to find new ways to defend against future threats. Communities learned from each encounter, creating networks of resilience that could respond quickly to new dangers. Every success, every lesson learned, strengthened humanity's position in the galaxy. Across the stars, whispers of humanity's first victory spread. Some alien species were impressed, some fearful, and a few still skeptical. But no one could deny that humans had achieved something extraordinary. They had faced a direct galactic threat, survived, and even turned the tide using ingenuity, courage, and cooperation. The Elders' warning was no longer theoretical. It was reality. Humanity had not only survived, but had begun to show the galaxy that they could face threats head-on and emerge stronger. Their journey was far from over, but the first major test had proven that humans were capable of incredible feats when driven by survival, creativity, and moral courage. The galaxy was beginning to see what the Elders had known all along. Humans could not be stopped once fully awakened. Even in the darkest moments, humans continued to act with determination. They repaired what was broken, learned from mistakes, and used every resource at their disposal. Every person contributed in some way, and collectively, they became a force that no alien civilization could fully predict or control. They're in. The news of humanity's victory spread quickly, not just across Earth, but across the galaxy. Alien civilizations that had once laughed at humans were now quietly concerned. Stories of the tiny planet that had survived and even defeated a massive alien fleet traveled far and wide. For the first time, many species began to take humanity seriously, realizing that the warnings of the Elders were not exaggerations, but a stark truth. Some alien leaders were shocked. How could such a young and seemingly fragile species survive when so many advanced civilizations had failed? They had underestimated humanity's creativity, resilience, and determination. Reports from scouts described humans working together in ways that no other species did. They combined science, courage, and empathy in each decision, making them unpredictable and extremely difficult to fight. Back on Earth, life slowly began to return to a sense of normalcy, but humans knew the battle was not over. The alien coalition had retreated, yes, but other species would surely be watching. Humans were learning fast, and each lesson made them stronger. Scientists studied alien technology, not to destroy it, but to understand it and find ways to use it to protect their planet. Engineers repaired cities with new designs to withstand attacks. Communities became more organized, creating networks of defense, communication, and resource distribution. Ordinary humans played roles just as important as leaders or soldiers. Farmers developed methods to protect crops and livestock. Teachers organized groups to educate children on survival and science. Volunteers coordinated food, medicine, and shelter for those affected by attacks. Every act, no matter how small, strengthened humanity's resilience. Even children contributed, sharing observations, warning of danger, or helping adults in small but meaningful ways. The galaxy was beginning to see a pattern. Humans did not act like other species. They were not predictable, and they did not rely solely on brute force, advanced weapons, or intelligence alone. They relied on adaptability, creativity, and a moral compass that guided their decisions. Even in the face of great danger, humans continued to think, to care for one another, and to find solutions that no one expected. Their unpredictability became their greatest weapon. Alien species began to whisper among themselves. Some were impressed, others frightened, and a few still refused to believe the evidence. But no one could ignore the growing reputation of humanity. Stories spread about small towns defending themselves. With improvised tactics, pilots executing daring maneuvers that outsmarted far superior ships, and scientists turning alien devices into tools for defense. Humanity's victories were not just physical. They were also stories of ingenuity and courage, echoing through the galaxy like ripples in a pond. In one distant system, a group of alien leaders held a secret meeting. They discussed humanity in hushed voices, reviewing reports from scouts and intercepted communications. Some argued for preemptive strikes to contain the species, while others hesitated, unsure if such actions would even work. Every calculation seemed uncertain because humans did not act in predictable ways. What had been dismissed as a minor species was now a variable that no one could fully understand or control. On Earth, humans were unaware of the wider galactic attention. To them, the focus remained immediate: rebuilding, learning, and preparing for the future. Pilots trained with new simulations based on alien strategies, engineers improved defensive systems, and scientists experimented with alien technology to find practical uses. Communities created networks that allowed information to flow quickly, ensuring that warnings, resources, and support reached those in need without delay. Humanity's strength came from more than just technology or strategy. It came from people, caring for one another, thinking creatively, and refusing to give up. Families risked their lives to save neighbors. Strangers helped each other, and communities organized themselves to protect the vulnerable. Every human action, small or large, contributed to a growing pattern of resilience and determination. These traits, difficult to measure or predict, made humans an extraordinary species in the eyes of the galaxy. Even alien observers began to recognize this. Scouts and monitors reported that humans were not just surviving, they were learning. From every encounter, improving their strategies, and working together in ways that no other species had managed. Where other civilizations relied on predictable hierarchies or algorithms, humans relied on intuition, collaboration, and empathy. Their unpredictability made them formidable opponents and fascinating subjects for study. The elders watched all of this with quiet satisfaction. They had warned the galaxy that humans could not be stopped, and now their predictions were unfolding exactly as expected. Humanity's victories, creativity, and resilience were proof of the unique potential that lay within this species. Every challenge they faced made them stronger, and every success demonstrated that no force in the galaxy could fully predict or control them. On Earth, life went on in its messy, unpredictable way. Scientists made breakthroughs that had once seemed impossible, using knowledge gleaned from alien technology and observation. Pilots developed daring maneuvers to defend the skies, while ground teams worked tirelessly to maintain infrastructure and communications. Even in their flaws, humans thrived, finding solutions where others saw only failure. Every act of determination and courage contributed to the growing proof that humanity was awakening. The shockwaves of humanity's victories spread beyond the battlefield. Alien civilizations began to rethink their approach to diplomacy and strategy. Some species reconsidered past decisions to ignore or underestimate humans, while others debated whether to approach Earth with caution, respect, or fear. The galaxy, which had long assumed humans were insignificant, was beginning to see them as a force that could not be ignored. Humanity itself was still learning. Each challenge faced brought new understanding, and each victory, no matter how small, strengthened their confidence. Communities shared lessons learned, scientists refined their research, and leaders developed strategies that combined knowledge, creativity, and empathy. The process of adaptation was continuous, and every individual contributed to the growing strength of humanity. Even ordinary citizens played vital roles. Volunteers helped rebuild damaged areas, coordinated supplies, and shared information. Children, though young, found ways to observe and report, contributing to the collective effort. Farmers, engineers, and everyday workers adapted quickly, finding innovative ways to support defense and survival. Each action, though small in isolation, formed part of a larger pattern that made humans unpredictable and effective as a species. Alien civilizations continued to watch with mixed emotions. Some were impressed by humanity's ingenuity and resilience, while others were fearful of a species that refused to be controlled. Whispers grew louder, and debates raged in council chambers across the galaxy. How could such a small, young species pose such a threat? How could they combine courage, intelligence, and morality to achieve feats that no one anticipated? The elders observed these debates silently. They had seen this pattern before. Species that were underestimated often became the most dangerous and transformative forces in the galaxy. Humans had all the traits that made them unique: creativity, adaptability, courage, empathy, and unpredictability. No other species combined these qualities in the same way. The elders knew that humanity's rise was inevitable, and the galaxy would soon have to face the reality that humans could not be stopped. On Earth, humans did not dwell on the galaxy's attention. Their focus remained on survival, learning, and protecting one another. Every act of courage mattered, whether it was a pilot navigating a dangerous mission, a scientist experimenting with alien technology, or a family helping their neighbors. The combination of these efforts, small and large, created a force that no alien species could fully predict or control. As humans rebuilt and prepared, they also began to explore further, testing the limits of their technology and understanding. They sent small fleets beyond Earth's orbit, gathering knowledge about alien tactics, planetary resources, and the vast reaches of space. Every discovery added to their strength and confidence. Humanity was awakening, not just as a species on Earth, but as a force with potential to impact the galaxy in ways no one had yet imagined. Alien civilizations continued to react. Some began to send emissaries to Earth, hoping to understand humans better, while others debated whether to form alliances or remain distant. The story of humanity's rise became a topic of discussion, speculation, and concern. Even the most advanced species, who had once thought themselves unchallenged, now recognized that humans were a variable they could not ignore. The elders remained patient, watching humanity grow stronger with each passing day. They had predicted this rise, and now it was unfolding perfectly. Humanity's victories, resilience, and ingenuity were undeniable. They had faced direct threats, adapted, learned, and thrived. The galaxy was beginning to recognize that humans were no longer a minor species. They were a force that could not be contained. Even as the galaxy reacted, humans remained fundamentally human. They laughed, argued, loved, and mourned. Their imperfections, emotions, and choices were part of their strength. Unlike other species that relied on calculation or power alone, humans combined intellect, creativity. Humanity had survived, learned, and grown stronger than anyone had imagined. The battles fought, the cities rebuilt, and the sacrifices made had all shaped a species ready to rise in ways the galaxy had never anticipated. From small victories to major confrontations, humans had proven a simple truth: they could not be stopped. And now, the consequences of their resilience and ingenuity were beginning to reshape the galaxy itself. On Earth, life had changed, but humans continued in their natural rhythm. They rebuilt cities, repaired infrastructure, and expanded scientific knowledge. Yet amidst this, they never lost the human touch, the laughter of children in playgrounds, families gathering for meals, neighbors helping each other in small acts of kindness. These simple, human qualities were part of what made them extraordinary. They combined intelligence with empathy, creativity with courage, and persistence with morality. Every action reinforced a pattern the galaxy had begun to notice. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving. Across the stars, alien species were paying close attention. The victories of humanity had left many civilizations reassessing their assumptions. Some species approached cautiously, sending emissaries to study humans, to understand how such a young species could rise so quickly. Others debated whether to form alliances or prepare defenses, wary of a species that combined adaptability, intelligence, and unpredictability in ways they had never seen. In the Galactic Council, discussions grew tense. Once dismissed warnings from the elders were now taken seriously. Leaders reviewed reports of human ingenuity, from improvised defense strategies to clever adaptations of alien technology. The Council realized that humanity was not only resilient, they were strategic thinkers, capable of learning and improving faster than any civilization had expected. Fear and respect intertwined in equal measure. Back on Earth, humans were largely unaware of the galactic attention. Their focus remained immediate: survival, innovation, and community. Scientists experimented with alien technology, learning how it worked and finding ways to use it for the benefit of humanity. Engineers developed new defense systems and communication networks. Soldiers trained to adapt to unpredictable threats, while ordinary citizens contributed in small but meaningful ways, repairing equipment, sharing knowledge, and caring for the vulnerable. The true strength of humanity, however, was not technology alone. It was their unity, their willingness to act together, and their creativity in the face of challenges. Communities demonstrated resilience in ways that inspired both humans and aliens alike. Where other species relied solely on orders, algorithms, or brute force, humans combined intelligence with emotion, creating solutions that were unpredictable and highly effective. One remarkable story spread quickly among humans and alien observers alike. A small coastal city, threatened by an advanced alien scouting party, organized its citizens in an unprecedented way. Scientists, engineers, farmers, and even children worked together to protect the city. Using improvised technology, the community created shields, warning systems, and defensive strategies that delayed the aliens long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Every individual, no matter their age or skill, contributed to the success. The aliens monitoring the city were stunned. They had never seen a species that could combine knowledge, courage, and creativity in such a coordinated way. As humans continued to thrive, they also began exploring the possibilities of space travel and diplomacy. Small teams were sent to nearby star systems to gather knowledge, communicate with other civilizations, and observe alien tactics. These missions were not about conquest. They were about understanding, learning, and preparing for the future. Humanity's approach was unique. Unlike other species that relied on intimidation or domination, humans approached exploration with curiosity, respect, and strategic thinking. Alien species began to notice a consistent pattern. Humans did not act predictably. They learned quickly, adapted to unexpected circumstances, and turned weaknesses into strengths. Their victories were not solely military. They were intellectual, cultural, and moral. Even when faced with overwhelming odds, humans displayed resilience, courage, and empathy. This combination made them a force unlike any other in the galaxy. The elders observed these developments with satisfaction. They had foreseen humanity's rise, and now the pattern was unfolding precisely as predicted. Humans were awakening not just as survivors, but as innovators, thinkers, and leaders capable of challenging even the most powerful civilizations. Their journey was a testament to the potential of life guided by courage, creativity, and moral determination. Across Earth, humans continued to improve. Scientists discovered ways to use alien energy sources safely. Engineers built cities resilient to attacks, and soldiers refined strategies that combined intuition with technical skill. Communities grew closer, supporting each other in ways that strengthened the social fabric. Ordinary people contributed to extraordinary results, showing that the strength of humanity lay not in a single individual, but in collective effort. Stories of human resilience and ingenuity reached other worlds, inspiring both fear and admiration. Alien civilizations began to reconsider their strategies, realizing that humanity could no longer be dismissed. Some species approached Earth with curiosity and caution, seeking alliances or knowledge. Others remained wary, unsure how to deal with a species that was both unpredictable and capable of extraordinary achievements. In one remarkable mission, a human exploratory fleet visited a distant star system to observe a civilization known for its advanced technology. The humans did not attack. They studied, learned, and even shared information that helped prevent potential conflicts. Their approach was unlike any other species, blending diplomacy, intelligence, and ethics. This mission became a turning point, showing the galaxy that humans were not just survivors. They were problem solvers, innovators, and peacemakers when possible. The galaxy began to change its perception of humans. Once dismissed as weak, this small blue planet's inhabitants were now recognized as a species that could not be ignored. They were resourceful, creative, and resilient. Their actions demonstrated intelligence combined with morality, courage combined with cooperation, and unpredictability combined with strategy. Other civilizations could no longer assume control over them, underestimate them, or predict their behavior with certainty. Back on Earth, humans continued to advance. Education improved, scientific breakthroughs accelerated, and communities became increasingly self-sufficient and organized. Every challenge faced strengthened the collective knowledge and resilience of humanity. Their rise was gradual, but unstoppable. Every victory, no matter how small, contributed to a larger story of awakening and potential. The elders, watching quietly from their distant vantage point, noted that humanity had reached a critical point. They were no longer just a species surviving against odds. They were a force capable of influencing the galaxy itself. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and moral courage made them unique. Every step they took, every challenge they overcame, and every lesson they learned added to their unstoppable momentum. Alien civilizations continued to debate how to respond. Some advocated for alliances, hoping to benefit from human ingenuity. Others feared humanity's potential and sought ways to limit it. No one had a clear solution, because humans did not fit into predictable patterns of behavior. They acted creatively, collaboratively, and courageously, turning even failures into opportunities. This unpredictability made them a species that no one could control. Humanity's story on Earth was deeply personal, despite its galactic significance. Families rebuilt homes, schools reopened, and communities thrived. Scientists explored, engineers innovated, and ordinary citizens contributed in countless ways. The combination of small, everyday actions and extraordinary achievements formed a pattern that was visible across the galaxy. Humans were capable of remarkable things when driven by courage, creativity, and empathy. Even as humans continued to grow stronger, they never lost their humanity. They cared for each other, protected the vulnerable, and acted with moral purpose. Their victories were not just about survival. They were about the values that made them strong: cooperation, empathy, intelligence, and courage. These qualities made them a species that could not be contained, predicted, or stopped. The galaxy had begun to acknowledge a truth that had been ignored for too long. Humans were not just another species. They were a force capable of extraordinary adaptation, resilience, and creativity. Their rise was inevitable, and their potential was vast. Every action, from small community efforts to daring missions in space, reinforced the fact that humanity's awakening was unstoppable. In the final stages of their early rise, humans established networks that allowed them to communicate and coordinate across vast distances. They shared knowledge, technology, and strategies, creating a civilization that was both highly adaptive and morally aware. This collective intelligence, combined with their courage and unpredictability, made them a species that the galaxy had never seen before. The elders observed, satisfied that the warning they had given was now fully validated. Humanity had awakened, and the galaxy was beginning to understand the force it had underestimated. Their resilience, ingenuity, and moral courage had made them unstoppable.